So here's a guy you've definitely heard of, Dani Alves. The man, the myth, the right back who basically treated defending like a side hustle and turned running forward into an Olympic event. You remember him, flying down the wing, feeding Messi assists like free samples at Costco, dancing after wins and stacking trophies until he probably needed extra luggage just to carry medals. Now picture that same man, legend of Barcelona Brazil's eternal right back, sitting in a courtroom facing one of the ugliest charges in the book. Yeah, this isn't your usual football highlight reel. Man, imagine being the most decorated footballer in history, like you've practically got more hardware than all of IKEA, and then waking up one day with everything crumbling around you. That was Dani Alves. He was born in Juazeiro, Brazil in 1983, and football wasn't just something he played, it was in his blood. His dad was a farmer who didn't have money for footballs, so he made some out of socks and plastic bags. And little Dani, he played with those sock balls like they were the Champions League final. That kind of hunger doesn't come from luxury. It comes from wanting out of the dust and into the lights. By 2001, Bahia gave him his shot, a scrappy, fearless teenager with boundless energy. You know the type, the guy who sprints in the 90th minute like it's the first. By 2002, Sevilla came calling, and Sevilla got the real deal. Alves wasn't just a right back, he was chaos on two legs. He defended, sure, but mostly he attacked. He overlapped, underlapped, dribbled, crossed, and celebrated like a forward. Sevilla fans adored him. Rival defenders hated him, and the silverware started rolling in. 2 UEFA Cups, a Copa del Rey, and a UEFA Super Cup. Then, in 2008, came Barcelona. They dropped 32.5 million euros on him. Huge money for a defender at the time, and Alves? Worth every cent. First season, a treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Champions League. Boom! And the Messi connection? Oh my. Alves and Messi were like Wi-Fi and your phone, always connected. Alves didn't just give Messi the ball, he practically gift-wrapped it with a bow. If Messi was the painter, Alves was the brush. Together, they turned football into art and into nightmares for defenders. 8 glorious years followed. 6 La Ligas, 3 Champions Leagues, 4 Copas del Rey, countless other trophies. He wasn't just winning, he was collecting silverware like it was Pokemon cards. Rival fans rolled their eyes, but let's be honest, every single one of them wished they had him on their team. After Barca, he kept the tour going. Juventus, where he made another Champions League final. PSG, where he stacked domestic titles like pancakes on a Sunday. Back to Brazil with Sao Paulo. And then, a late cameo in Mexico with Puma Sunam. And for Brazil, don't even get me started, over 120 caps, multiple Copa Americas, Confederations Cups, and an Olympic gold in 2021. At 38 years old. At that point, he was basically Benjamin Button in football boots, aging backwards and still running like a teenager. So yeah, Dani Alves had it all: fame, money, respect, and more medals than some federations. And then, in one night, it all came crashing down. It was December 30th, 2022, in Barcelona. Sutton Nightclub. Music pumping, lights flashing, champagne spraying. The VIP was buzzing. And Dani Alves? He was right there in the thick of it, smiling, drinking, dancing, enjoying life. But according to a 23-year-old woman, that night took a turn. She later told police that Alves invited her into VIP, made her feel part of the circle, and then pressured her to follow him. Instead of leading her somewhere private for a chat, she said he took her into a bathroom, shut the door, and raped her. When she came out, she was crying, shaken, limping, pointing to pain in her knee. Friends noticed immediately. Security noticed. Hours later, she was at a hospital, and forensic testing confirmed her account. DNA evidence on her clothes, and even on the bathroom floor. And then Alves started talking. And honestly, if you've ever seen someone dig themselves into a hole, you know what comes next. Every time he opened his mouth, the story changed. Version 1, I don't know this woman. I wasn't even there. CCTV? Bro, you literally walked into the bathroom with her. Version 2, okay, fine, I was there, but nothing happened. Forensics. Sure, then why is your DNA everywhere? Version 3, alright, something happened, but it was consensual. Victim testimony, nope, not even close. Version 4, actually, I was drunk, memory fuzzy. Everyone else. So your memory was fine for 3 other stories, but suddenly you've got amnesia? At this point, it felt like Alves wasn't in a courtroom, he was in a Netflix writer's room, pitching season scripts. People joked every week was a new episode of the Dani Alves story, Lies edition. But in court, nobody was laughing. For the woman, this was trauma. For Alves, this was the beginning of the end. By January 2023, Spanish police had arrested him. Straight to prison. Bail? Denied. The judge ruled he was a flight risk because Brazil doesn't extradite its citizens. If Alves got home, Spain would never see him again. In February 2024, the trial began. 3 days in court, the woman testified behind a screen, her story clear and consistent. Hospital records supported her. CCTV footage matched key details. Alves' contradictions destroyed his credibility. The verdict: guilty of sexual assault. Sentence: 4 years and 6 months in prison, plus 150,000 euros in damages, probation after release, and a restraining order keeping him away for nearly a decade. The fallout was instant and brutal. His team, Pumas Unam, terminated his contract immediately. Barcelona removed him from their list of legends. In Brazil, a statue of him was demolished. His wife, Joana Sanz, filed for divorce. The man who once danced after wins was now sitting in a cell, his empire gone in weeks. Inside prison, reports say he kept his head down, polite with guards, even signing autographs for inmates. But bail requests? Denied. Again and again. Judges didn't trust him. Then came March 2024, a twist that nobody really saw coming. After more than a year of his lawyers filing request after request, a judge finally granted him bail, set at a cool 1 million euros. 1 million just to walk out the front door. Alves paid up, surrendered both his passports, and agreed to check in every single week with the court. After 14 long months behind bars, he walked free. Well, free, but not really free. It was more like freedom on a leash. He couldn't leave Spain, couldn't travel, couldn't even dream about sneaking away to Brazil. He was outside the prison walls, but still living under a giant legal spotlight. And then came March 28, 2025, the appeal ruling. 3 judges, unanimous decision, conviction overturned. Their reasoning? The evidence wasn't strong enough to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. They pointed out that parts of the victim's testimony didn't perfectly match the CCTV footage. The medical findings, they said, weren't conclusive either. And while Alves' lies made him look terrible, like the guy couldn't keep his own story straight, they decided lies alone weren't enough to keep a man locked up. Acquitted. Inside the courtroom, Alves broke down in tears. After more than a year of headlines, prison food, and public shame, he finally had a decision that went his way. His lawyer came out swinging with the soundbite. Justice has finally been served. Meanwhile, people outside court were split. Some saw him as vindicated. Others thought the appeal just showed how tough it is to prove these cases. But before Alves could even think about celebrating, prosecutors filed their own appeal straight to Spain's Supreme Court, basically saying, "Not so fast, Dani." So yes, he was free, but he wasn't done. The shadow of that night in December 2022 was still following him around, like the world's worst man-marking defender. No matter where he went, it stuck to him. And just when you think the saga is done, another subplot. 2025, and just when you think the Alves saga couldn't get any messier, another courtroom chapter pops up. This time, it wasn't about nightclubs or DNA. It was about money. His ex-wife, Dinora Santana, accused him of failing to pay a whopping 628,000 euros in child support. Yeah, that's not pocket change, even for someone who once earned Champions League wages. The headline alone was enough to make people think, wow, how much lower can this guy's reputation sink? But when the court dug into the case, the surprise twist came. Turns out Alves had actually been paying as agreed. The claim didn't stick. Not only was the money returned, but Dinora was ordered to cover the legal costs. For the first time in years, Alves walked out of a courtroom with a smile instead of tears. Of course, it didn't wipe away the stain of the scandal. It didn't magically restore him as a football legend. But it was a rare moment where, for once, the headlines leaned in his favor instead of tearing him apart. Still, one civil victory doesn't change the bigger truth. Dani Alves' career is over. No club will touch him. No sponsor wants him. His marriage is gone. His legacy as a legend stripped away. Even with the acquittal, the stain lingers, because in football, the court of public opinion never forgets. And that's Dani Alves. From kicking sock balls in Juero to lifting trebles at Camp Nou, from feeding Messi assists to being fed prison meals, from the most decorated footballer in history to a man whose name now carries a shadow. So what do you think? Does his acquittal and that civil court win redeem him even a little, or is the damage too deep? Let me know in the comments. Hit like if this story left you stunned, and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. Because with Dani Alves, somehow, the drama never seems truly over.